Hello and welcome back everyone to the day 3 for our HP Unified Functional Testing QTP live training. Let's continue where we left on day 2. I know we had a significant gap between the day 2 and day 3, but hopefully you've got some opportunity to go through the videos that I had recommended as prerequisites, because that will really help us to move faster. So let's take a quick look at what we've done since the first 2 days. We tried to do the record and run initially and see how the overall flow works, but then immediately we switched to the concept where we are trying to identify the test cases, the test case that we want to automate, expand those test steps, add the objects to the repository, rename them so that they look suitable and more apt, then write the custom VB script, and then try and run the script to see how it works. So that is primarily what we had done as far as the overall execution was done till the end of day 2. Right? Everyone on the same page with me? Everyone team is on the same page with me? All right, great. So now what we're going to do is let's talk about taking it to one step higher. Now, till the step 6, we have almost done. We have done the execution. We saw how the overall activity works on the script and so on. Now what we're going to do is we will talk about adding some variables slash parameters. All right. And then we will talk about a little bit about doing a debug run. And then we will talk about a few more enhancements as we go along. Now, what are variables and why do we need to put them as part of the script? So far, what you saw, team, is basically I have taken information from the script and we are putting this data onto the application. So how is the flow going? Highlighted, okay. So let's assume that this is our QTP or UFT. Okay, I'll put as U, okay. And then we have the application that we are automating, correct? So what we have done is we're basically taking the information from the script and putting into the application. What kind of information is this? As I said, for automation, there are two things, the where and the what, correct? Those two questions become most important. Now, in this script, you know that we are taking one object at a time and doing some method on it. So for example, here we're saying there's a first name web edit object, which is under the page, Facebook homepage, under the browser IE, and we are using set method to take specific text and put that information into the application. Now, this information that we have need not be always the same. It can change. It can be slowly getting incorporated with different sets of information. And that is what we will use as the basics of parametering your test or creating variables. All right. We're going to talk briefly about variables, team, and I'll also talk about objects. Objects, properties, and methods. So these three things will become very important for us to understand as we make progress through any programming language. Okay, any specific programming language that you take, which is based on object-oriented process, the concepts are going to be very similar to you. So this is where we will start to learn the basics of programming, and then we'll keep on applying it towards till the end of our training. That way you become very good at it. Now, let me talk very briefly about what variables are. Okay, let us say that you have your contact list on your telephone. Okay, do you remember the names, not the names, but the numbers of all the people that are in your contact list? No, you don't. Why you don't? Because you will store them under a specific name. Each time you want to call someone, you just use that name, correct? That is the same concept with variables. Variables, you give it a name, let's say n as a name, and you can put a value into it. So tomorrow, if your friend's number is changing, you go and change that value there. And each time it updates it accordingly. But for me to remember, I only have to remember the name, which is more logical for me. The number could be any 10-digit number with the country code, all those things. It could be very complex for you to remember so many numbers in your head. Maybe some of the top few numbers you do remember, but not everything. That is why we create a variable like n and say we'll put a value into it called x. If tomorrow the number changes for your contact, all you do is you say edit contact, go and change that x to y, and you save it and you update the contact that way. That is the same concept that we will use when we're doing in the programming team. So I'm going to quickly, number one, save this test as version 3 or version 2, save as. That way, each time you'll have one version to look at as you're watching the videos and practicing, you'll be able to go through them. Now, out here, how do we create variables and how do we put values into it? Okay, so the variables are very simple, team. Okay, so this is the first comment. I'll keep it like that. Here I'll say variables. Now, what are the ones, which are the sets of information that we are taking from unified functional testing and putting it into the application? One is the URL, second is the first name, third is the email or mobile number. These are the only three things that we are taking to put it into the application. So what I can do is I can put something like VURL equals www.facebook.com. Next, I will say VFName for first name equals www. Oops, that's a Karthik. All right. Then I'll say V email equals Karthik at ITeLearn.com. Now, the way the syntax for this works is primarily we're saying that on the left side of the equal to sign, we have the name of the variable. That is very similar to like the contact name in your phone book. To the right side is the value of that variable. Whatever I take from the right side and I put it into the left side will become the value of the variable. Whenever I want to get the value, I just have to call it by its name. So it's exactly as similar to talking about your phone database, your phone contact list, and so on. Now, let me quickly make sure that everyone is fine in the session. Okay, looks like everyone's good. Now, if I want to get the values of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say print and say, hello, this is a simple print statement. See, statement. Each time, team, I'm introducing you to a new concept, a new term, a new word that you will learn. The first time I introduce you, it'll be like, oh, okay, this is how it works. The second time you see it, it becomes clearer. Once you start practicing and keep using it, you will get really good at it. That is how you develop your programming skill. Always remember that, okay? And I'll talk about the 4 steps of really mastering programming, team, in a few seconds. But first, let me talk about this. Now, I want to run this program only till line number 12. I don't want to run the program beyond that. So to do that, what we do is put something called as a stop sign. It is very similar to the stop sign that you see at any intersection. What do you do when you get to the stop sign? You stop the vehicle. You come to the line, you stop the vehicle, you look all directions and then proceed when it is safe to do so, right? Similarly, you can instruct the running of the code. What is run, team? Run is when I click on this play icon, it will execute one line after the other and it will keep on doing it till the end of the code. But if I put a stop sign or what we call as a breakpoint before us or on a specific line, it will come and stop the run at that point. And then you can look, see what you want, make sure that everything is good, and then you can decide to continue to run or just stop the test that time. So to do that, what I need to do is just right click on this gray area beside the line numbers, team. Right click on the gray area beside the line numbers and you will see different shortcut commands to many of these different options, team. Now, to put a breakpoint, you will click on insert remove breakpoint. Once you click on it, you will see automatically there is a red dot that is added here. Exactly similar to our stop sign concept that we see at a traffic signal. Not a signal, but where there's no signals and just have stop signs. Okay. Now, when I save this test and I execute, just observe what happens, team. Okay. Will it run the entire test for us or will it only run till line 12? So we will know that in a quick second. So the execution has started. Now it is on line number 12. And at this point, team, it is in a pause mode. So I don't know if you all can see, but yeah, now you can see. It's a paused mode. Paused mode means you have hit a breakpoint. UFT is now waiting for you to give it a further instruction. Either I can say stop and it will stop the test, or I will say run and it will continue to run the test. Okay. Right now, let's keep it as is and look at what happened. First thing is it has executed line 4, 5, 6. But what happened? We didn't see anything happening, correct? Why is it? Because whatever happened, it has kept it in the background. It has said, okay, I have understood that you want to create variables. I've created them, I've kept it. Unless I call those variables, those values will not come out. But I put something on line 8. That is something called as a print statement. This print statement is very simple, team. All that it does is if I give anything within double quotes, it will print that in this output dialog box. This is not actually a dialog box right now, but you can drag it to be a dialog box or you can leave it like this as a window pane and it will print the same thing out here. Whatever you give in quotes, it will print the same thing out here. So at this point, I am not focusing on executing on the application. I'm still working on the variables. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here, the test run, and I'm going to do a couple of more things here. So you understood how a print statement works. So I can say print and say VURL. Then I will also say print VURL. Now you will understand what is the difference between line 9 and line 10. So how can you call a variable? You have created successfully an entry in your mobile device to create a contact for, let's say, your mom, your dad, your sister, whoever. You put the name, you put the number. But how do you make a call? You can go to the keypad and start entering the name of the variable, name of the contact directly, and it will automatically start showing up different options. Similarly, there is a way, protocol to call them. Now, if I do the execution again, team, the reason I emphasize so much on this basic concepts is because these are fundamentals. If we do not really focus on these fundamentals, there is a very, very high chance that you will not be able to grasp a lot of concepts going forward. There is no skipping of these topics at all. While I've given you as prerequisites to watch all of this, I'm still repeating it because these are important ones. Okay. Now, what has happened is, number one, whatever got printed from the previous run is still shown here. And then it has started printing again from line 8, 9, and 10 into the output box. What did it do for print line number 9? It said print VURL. Whatever I gave, exactly it came. Why? Anything you give, team, as part of a quotes, double quotes, it will print things as is. It will take the values and do it as is. For example, here I said Karthik in double quotes. It takes the value as is and it puts it into the application. But on line 10, when I use the same VURL without the double quotes, that is the right protocol to call that variable. And wherever that variable is called, it is getting replaced by the value. Left side is the name, right side is the value. So the variable name is here, variable value is here. So that concept is very important for you to understand. Is it clear, everyone, what I said? And all of these concepts, if you have any kind of a question, repeat the session again. All right, just repeat it. It'll become easy for you to understand. Now I'm going to stop this test run once again, team. And what we will do is now we will take it to the next level where we will replace the information here with the actual name of the variable. Why is line number 14 in red highlighted? Because we put a breakpoint, which is like the stop sign, which gives us the ability to pause the test at that point, see what we want to do at that point. Okay, so here I call VURL, and here this is VF name, and this is V email. Okay, now all this is done. Save the test. I'm going to close the browser, team, because it does interfere with your test run, because it's going to open another browser. You don't want it to get confused again. 1 second, team. There's one or two of you cannot hear. I don't know what else I can do, because there's so many participants here that it should be a unique case. Hold on, please. One quick second, team. Sri Divya, you're right. That's something that I am deliberately doing certain things out there, so that will continue to happen that way. Okay. All right, so now let's do the run and see how it happens. So I've replaced here. I've got the breakpoint. I can keep the breakpoint or I can remove it. So anytime you want to remove it, just click on it and it'll go away. But to insert it, you can just click on it again. In the gray area on the left side, it will come up. Either right click and select it, or just click on that specific line and it will show up. Okay. Now at this point, team, before I do the execution, what did I want to say? That's fine. I close IE. So now let's execute it and see what happens. So very important for you to observe, team. When you run a test like the one which I'm running right now, and you get a error, you'll get a lot of errors, team, when we run. You have to observe if that error is coming as part of the execution in the test, or it is coming as something that we are doing wrongly. Okay, so that becomes very important. Now, did you observe what happened, everyone? Did the test run successfully? Yes or no? Always observe the question, team, very clearly. Did the test run successfully? Yes or no? Yeah, so the reason I asked this question is a lot of people have observed that the information was not put, the information was not put correctly for the first name. Why? Because instead of me calling the specific name of the variable, I used it in quotes out here. So it took VF name and it put that information there. For you to be doubly sure, what you should do is, did it run correctly or not? We can put a breakpoint again out here and look at it. So team, the test ran successfully. Okay, it is completed the complete execution. It did not stop anywhere. So the test execution was fine. However, did it do the correct things? Did it do exactly the way we wanted? We don't know that. The results may not be a pass or a fail. So that is something that you have to be very clear on. Did the whole test run? Yes, it did. Now, did it do what we wanted it to, or did it fail somewhere? That we'll have to go and see. So I've changed the breakpoint to line number 18. Why? So that I can see how 17 behaves and then look at it accordingly. So as I said, team, if you remember, if you give anything in quotes, it will take it as is. What is it that we wanted there? We wanted the name value, which is Karthik, to come there. But what's coming up? VF name, and that is going to be the problem, team. Okay, so VF name is not the right thing. So what can we do? We can quickly go stop the test and change it. Change it to what? Same VF name but without the quotes. That's the primary difference. The difference is how you call the variable. Now save it and you can do another test run to see if the execution has happened correctly or not. Now let's look at a couple of more things, team, before we go into the next steps of understanding about the variables and the concepts there. Okay, now I close the browser where I had the drive sheet. My audio is okay, right, for everyone? All right, cool, thank you. So I'm opening up the automation plan because I wrote those 3-4 things, additional things that we wanted to do. So we did variables and parameters. Now, did we do it completely? No, because there's a concept called types of variables and all that. We will come to it. I also didn't show you debug run yet, but I showed you checkpoints, right? So I showed you checkpoints, but debug run I have not yet shown. So I'm going to put this Control C, copy, allow access, Control V. This is checkpoint. Sorry, not checkpoint. Breakpoint. Did I use the right word for breakpoint? Is it BREAK or BRAK? BREAK, correct. Yeah, it's a breakpoint. So now let's talk about very briefly, team, what are objects, properties, and methods. It is so important for us to understand this concept of objects, the object properties and methods, because everything will revolve around it. Object is primarily, team, something that you can actually see, you can look at it, you can feel it, or you can describe it based on certain uh, information that you give. The way we define an object is through its properties. Now, when I say through properties, what do I mean, team? For example, let us take a human. Okay, how do you define a human? Human you can define by, let's say, age, date of birth, hair color, height, etc. All of this information is used to describe a specific individual. So let's say this is me, Karthik. So I have specific properties. Because of that properties, an object gets created. So when I have to be described, you can describe me in a very specific manner because those are my properties. Similarly, for a car, let us say we talk about a car. You say, what is the make, model, year, color, features, license plate number, and so on. Out of this properties, team, every property is used to describe a specific object. But there are some properties that are used to identify a specific object. So what does it mean? For example, if I talk about human, myself, how can you uniquely identify that this is Karthik? Either my social security, maybe sometimes if it's not a large crowd, just my first name or last name, phone number, email address, and depending on the group you are in, it becomes important for me to give that specific information to identify. But how about a car? A car can be identified using the make, model, year, and so on, but not necessarily always. But license plate number or VIN number is something that we use often to make sure that um, how we can identify. Why should we identify these objects? So that you can interact with these objects. What do I mean by interact? Let's say you want to call Karthik. What do you want to do? Call me. But uh, call whom? That's me, Karthik, right? So if you want to interact with me, or if you, let's say you want to take Karthik for a drive or lunch, or you want to talk to them, all of these are the activities or methods that you can perform on that object. Okay, so objects have method, properties, describe it, to identify it, and methods that you can use to perform on it. Depending on the type of object, methods vary. See how simple I'm giving with the examples right now. And now if I take it back into our Internet Explorer as an application and again explain it, you will see how easy it is for you to understand the concept. So the type of object decides the methods that you can run on it. What do I mean? You cannot go and shake hands with a car, but you can shake hand with me. Because car, you can go drive, you can go forward, backwards, point A to point B. You can do certain activities because the object is that way. With a human, you can do different other activities because the object is that way. So depending on the type of an object, you can perform certain activities. If you take your mobile device, if it's a smartphone, you can surf, you can do WhatsApp, you can do Facebook, you can do social interaction, make calls, all of those things using the phone because the phone is built for it. Because it is a phone, because it has certain properties, you have certain methods that you can run. Is it clear, team? Object, properties, method. Now, there is a type of object I said, right? The type of object is nothing but the class of that object. When I say class, what do I mean, team? Every object is coming under certain category that you can distinguish and say, okay, this is the all objects who are having similar properties are all under the same class or category. For example, all cars will come under cars, but under cars probably sedan. If I say the certain cars which come under that. If I say humans, all the participants in the team right now in this session are humans. We come under the classification, that specific description that yes, we belong to a specific class. But in that again, we can say male or female. We can also say from ethnic background, which class do we belong. I can also say from a country. Some people are from US, some are UK, Australia, India, and so on. So this is how you are able to distinguish team by saying what the class is. So class basically says that okay, they all form a certain rules and regulations. They have a certain way of properties. They have certain methods we can do. Object is a specific one. Class is general, which can describe what we belong to. Object means a specific one. Now, so I spoke about object, class, property of that object, and the methods that you can perform, right? Now, remember this because this concept we will keep on using in and out every session till the end, and you'll automatically become a master at it. If I go back to QTP and now talk about what these objects are in classes, to do that, I'm going to open up the object repository by using the shortcut Control R. And in here, you will notice that all these few objects that got added were under the object category called test objects. These are the objects that we've added and they're called as test objects. Now, on the left side, it gives you the name of that object, the details and how under which object is which object, and so on. It gives you that kind of a classification. If you look at, depending on the type of that object, there is a specific icon that is associated. That is nothing but a representation of what class it belongs. Now if you go to the right side, every object has a name and every object has a specific class. All right. Repository local means only the fact that this is a local object repository. There's another type of repository called shared object repository, which will come to at a later point, but you can ignore this type of a repository for now. That is not important right now for us. The name and the class. You change the name, it will automatically change wherever we are accessing it. I'll just call this as BROW. Okay. Now notice on the left side in the script what happens as soon as I change it here. So it gets changed everywhere. So what is the name, team? Why do I need the name out for an object? Why do I need a name for a variable or an object? Correct. Not to identify. To identify, we need the properties. To interact with an object, to call it. Identification is done using the properties team. But when you want to interact or perform a method on that object, you have to call it. Like variable name, when you want the value of that variable, you call it. Similarly, when you want to work with that object, you call it. To call that object, you need the name. So the name should be easy for you to identify, just like on the telephone book. Now, if you keep going to each object, you will see the name and class. Name is Facebook homepage, class is page. Then again, sign up, this is web button, and so on. What you will notice, team, is that the properties that are used to describe or identify that object are out here. This is what QTP or UFT stores when you either add the object to the repository using the plus icon, or you do a record and run. So the way the whole execution works is, when QTP or UFT sees a specific line of code to execute, it will come here into the object repository and it will see, okay, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to look at browser. Where is browser? Bro, out here. Okay. Dot page. Under this browser, is there a page? Yeah, here it is, Facebook homepage. Under this, is there a web edit first name? Yes, here it is. See, the class is web edit, name is first name. Now what it does is, after it has accepted that yes, this is the information, now that it has accepted that this is the information, it will then take these properties from the object repository out here and go and identify it back in the application. It will go to IE then and it will try and identify using this information team. All right, understood? First, it has to identify where in the object repository is that object. So from the script, it will come to the object repository to identify if it's there. Once it identifies it, it will look at the application, the details of the test object, which has the properties to describe it, and then it goes to the application to find it. All right, that is the flow of the complete execution or running of UFT. When you run, this is how it does. Once it identifies it in the application, then what should I do? That is where your set will come. All right. I don't know why it's not letting me click on cancel or remind me later. Okay, that's fine. It's not even disappearing from here. Okay, done. So now you understand, from the script to the object repository, find the object in the object repository, then take the properties to the application, find the object in the application, and then you go about identifying and working with it. That is how QTP works. Now, this is the general flow. When we get to descriptive programming, what will happen is we will go directly from the script to the application. we will bypass the object repository team. We will not interact anymore with the object repository, because all the details that we want to give to describe that object will be there directly in the script, and that is descriptive programming. Okay, so we will go very detailed in descriptive programming in the coming few sessions, but for now that's important. Now we are not going to look at the different types of properties and what values they are right now. We will look at it as we keep going along. For now, just the concept that how objects look and how we work with them is very important. All right, everyone. Any questions on what we've done so far, please? So we did a little bit of breakpoint, debug run we didn't, objects, properties, methods. Briefly, we have done this. And so let's do debug run one more. And I want to quickly add a few more steps if possible out here. What website was that we're doing? Facebook, is it? Yeah. So in this steps of this test case right now, we're just saying click sign up, and only till there we were executing, correct? Enter first name, enter email, click sign up. Now, what happens when we do that? Let's look at it. Karthik, enter email, and click on sign up. What happens when we do this? Okay, what's your name? What's your last name is coming here? This I don't want to do because it will confuse you right now. I was thinking of seeing if I can add that object to the repository. Let's see. Web element, what's your name? I'll explain to you what I'm trying to do, team. I'm trying to just give it a little bit more complexity so that we can talk about a few more things about. Okay. Why is it not adding here? That's where I have to use descriptive programming. Confirm your email address. Okay, so let's do it for the first test case, team, where we are trying to sign up, sign in, and it says confirm your email address. So click login, enter email, enter password, click login, and here I'm going to take, see what I'm going to do is create a new test case altogether. Copy, insert, I'll explain things to you, team. I'm just trying to create another complexity level so that way we can easily learn a few more important concepts, because unless I take it practically and show you using some kind of a scenario, it will not be easy for you to understand. It will all look very theoretical. That's why I'm trying to do this. So what I'm trying to do is as a manual test case, okay, I am saying that after you click on login, we get this message saying confirm your email address, and this message becomes important for us to verify if this is coming or not. Let us say that someone enters a unverified email address, enters password, clicks on login. This is the functionality of the application that this message should come. Of course, also this message, this link, this button, everything. But what we will try and do is only check for one thing at least, if this message is coming, yes or not. So how do I do it manually? To do it manually, all I need to do is user login, and here I'll say verify text confirm your email address. This is the text that we want to verify. And is this going to be a pass or a fail when I do a run? That we will know once we execute it. Okay, once we do the complete automation for it and execute. Now, let us repeat the same exact steps what we did out here, team. Okay, for this new test case. Everyone with me? Now you all understand what I'm trying to do? Where are you all? I'm seeing the messages. Okay, I've just minimized this. Everyone is with me, team? Okay, guys, because when I'm asking a question, I'm waiting for an answer as well. Okay, thank you so much. So let's go. Now, what I will do is, how do we quickly see? We took about an hour plus to do the same steps, right? Now we'll try and do this much more quicker. Okay, so file, new, test. Okay, GUI test. I'm going to call this as proj1 underscore fb underscore home underscore 003 underscore 1. Okay, now this is the naming convention that we were using. So I'll quickly create this. All right, go to action 1. So look at the steps that we've created. So first, identify the test case. This is done. Yes. Expand on the test step. This is also done out here. Yes. Identify and add the objects for each step into the object repository. So now let's add the object. So open up Control R, then click on plus, look at the application, and click on the object that you want to add. Is it okay to add an object out of its turn? When I say out of its turn, what I mean to say is there may be other objects before this, correct? The first name and last name were there in the previous page. We were supposed to add the email, password, and login also, but I didn't add them first. I added the confirm your email address. That does not matter, team. The order in which you add the objects to the repository does not matter. As long as it is there, and automatically it will get sorted depending on the class and depending on the alphabetical order of that specific object. Okay. Now I'm adding the email as well, and again I'm adding password and login. Now we've added the objects. What is the thing that we have not done, team? We have not renamed it to something that we feel is very relevant. What name UFT automatically gives to the objects that we add to the repository, or when we do a record, is called as the logical name. It uses certain properties, it looks at those properties, it takes those logical names and it adds them here. We should look at it and try and change it. So this, let's say I change it to browser, i.e. Facebook. This is the second page. After you click on login, you go there, right? So this I'll call it as confirmation page. Okay, this is the specific page it's taking us to. Then for this Facebook login or sign, this one what I will do is I'll just say home. So it just looks easy for me to identify when I see them. And here it says confirm your email address. That is the whole name it is given. That is fine. Is login okay? Yes. Email okay? Pass okay? Yes. I can understand everything else. So renaming the objects to something more relevant is important. You will notice as we keep going in this direction why it is so important and emphasizing the fact of following such steps to make sure that we're performing in that specific direction. because it is a practice team. We don't do it, then as a programmer we will really fail in achieving it. And there are 4 tips team that I have as how to become a successful programmer. I will tell you that in tomorrow's session, so that will be easy for you to understand. All right, now let's start writing the custom VB script. So to write the VB script, it will be so easy for us now. Now I'll say system util.run iExplore.exe, comma. Now the URL is there, right? So for the URL, I can create a variable automatically first. So I'll say VURL equals www.facebook.com. Next, I also need for V email, because that's what I will be using for login, equals, let's say, Karthik2 at ITeLearn. Okay, let's do Karthik only because messages may change. Then V password, V pass equals let's say 123 QWE. Okay. Finally, I don't think we need anything else right now. Yeah, we need just the text that we want to verify. So the text I'll copy. Confirm your email address. It was there here. The text from the confirmation page is this. So I'm going to copy this text, Control C, and it's a V text. V confirm text. Okay. So I'm trying to be as descriptive as possible so that it is easy for us to look at the code at any given point and understand. So the first thing that we're trying to do is system util.run here and iExplore.exe plus VURL. Second, browser IE dot page. As soon as I say page and open brackets, how many things will come up in the pop down in that suggested names of the objects? How many will come, team? How many will come as soon as I give open brackets out here? 2, correct. Why 2? Because we have 2 pages. So we don't know which one, and it gives us the option to do it. See, all this is the logical thinking. So we should know exactly why it's doing a certain thing. See, we have 2 pages. Now do I know which page I want to work with first? Home page. That's where we start with. Dot. Now you can talk about other things. So we will be exploring, I'm just going to copy this, lot about once you hit a dot, what is it that, oops, once you hit a dot, what is it that it's showing out here? All of these things we will be talking about, team. Okay, in the coming few days we'll focus a lot on that also. So first thing is web edit, and how many will come up for web edit? Again 2, because we have email as one web edit and password. Now what is the method that we will run on it? Set. What does set do? It takes the text and puts it in there. I already have the variable with that name. Now it is v email. Next one, same page, web edit, this time pass dot set v pass. Okay, next dot web button, because we have to click on the button, only one, so it will come up automatically and we will click on the button. So see, web edit you can set, web button you can click. You cannot do a set on web button and a click on web edit. Why? Because the object type, the class of that object decides what methods you can run. That is why it becomes like this. Now I have the other most important thing is to verify the text on the following page. How do we do this? We have to identify certain active way to be able to verify this text. To do this, team, we will perform 2 things. One is identify the object, then get the text from the object. This is what we need to do. So the what is, the where is identify which is the text. How do you identify that object? The what is get the text from that object. Okay. Now in this case, since I added it to the repository, I can just say browser IE dot page. Okay. Facebook confirmation page dot web element, confirm me your email address, dot exist. This is the new property. Actually, this is something called as a property that I want to show to you, but I don't think we'll have enough time to really explore it. But I'll show you quickly and then put it into an if statement and tell you how it will work very detailed in tomorrow's session. Okay. Now, this statement, this whole thing basically says that if this object exists on the page, on the given browser, then we can do certain thing. If it does not exist, we can do something else. For that, what we do is use something called as an if statement. What is an if statement? Any programming language team is all about what you have to do under certain circumstances. That decision making is done through a simple if statement. So if I can open up a new test and just talk about an if statement. And let's say I'll say a variable vday equals, let's say, Monday. Now I can do a print saying that if Monday, say, or print start of the week, else print another day. Do you see what I'm saying? This is my English for what I want to achieve with this small script. Now, to do that, there is a specific command, specific syntax called your if statement within VB script that we use to do it. How do I do it? Very simple. I say if vday equals Monday, then print start of the week. Else print another day. Now here is the syntax for the if statement. Very, very simple syntax team. Okay, it just got 4 or 5 words in it. Number one is if. Second is it is trying to see if right side and left side are the same information. If it is, then you do certain activity. If it is not, then you do another different type of an activity. That is what the else does. And finally, you say that end of that if statement. Start of that if statement, a condition that you are testing. If it is true, then what will you do? If it is not true, else what will you do? You can have multiple statements under it. So for example, I can say out here, print it is, and I'll do the same print statement here also. Now this is where I introduce you to an if statement, but we'll keep using it over and over again till we become master at it. And the first time I introduce things team, it is more like, oh, okay, this is what it is. But when you try and practice, it will take a little bit more time for you to understand, but we will apply it so many times that it will automatically do it. So if I execute this, now what will happen team? Can someone tell me? It will print the line number 6 and 7 because it is true, vday is Monday. So it has printed line number 6 and 7, but it has not printed line number 9 and 10. So it gets an option to do either this or this. But under what condition? The condition is out here. If this is equal to Monday. Now I change the same thing to Tuesday, for example, or let's say Friday. And I remove this print log, clear those lines here, and rerun this test. Now what will happen? This is not true, so it will print lines 9 and 10 and it will ignore lines 6 and 7. To see exactly how this execution happened, we use debug run. The way we can do, I'll show debug run very briefly right now. I know it's already 8 right now, but we will take this debug run, this if statement back to our test case number 3 in tomorrow's session, apply it there, learn a little bit more about it, and then we'll move to another project from there. Okay. Now, if I go to run and click on step into, which is F11, that is basically the debug run team. Debug run is running one step at a time, almost like putting a breakpoint at every line. Now what I can do is it is ready to run execute line number 1. So to do it, I'll keep saying F11 as shortcut, or just keep clicking the step into. So one line executed. So line number 1 is executed. Now it is ready to execute line number 5. Now I can say stop, run, or just keep saying step into. At this point is when you will see the verification happening. The condition true or not. If it is true, it will execute whatever is the right after then. If it is not, it will execute right whatever is the right after what is there after else. Now, is it true? It is not true. So automatically your cursor from line 5 should go to line 9. Let's see if it happens. See, this debug run will give you the ability to see exactly what is happening, what is running one step at a time. So you can very clearly be able to notice how your script is running and executing one step at a time. So that line number 9, let's execute. So print comes here, very good. Line number 10, let's execute. Print comes here, very good. And it is the end of the if statement, which is also the end of the test, and it stops the test. So your debug run gives you the ability to be able to go in and look at how each step is getting executed very, very briefly. We should be masters at debugging team, because that is the skill that gives you a lot of edge over every other person in the market. And this skill you have to really master. We will take this back into our test case 3 that we were working on tomorrow and master it from there. Now team, we've completed with today's session. If there are any questions relevant to whatever has happened so far in the first 3 days, please feel free to ask. Do note team that I've specifically asked my team not to do any cancellations of the registrations because some of you were still part of the evaluation process. You've not yet enrolled. There may be a cancellation notice that will go out to all the non-confirmed participants. If that is the case, and if you're already by mistake it has happened, please let us know so that we can get you re-registered. Keep an eye on the email very, very carefully, please, for next steps and what, so that the guidance will happen, because most of the questions will come in that. Any other question, any other thing, you can use an email or chat with my team and have the questions clarified. But right now what's important is you have to take your action before day 4. That's the only way you'll be able to continue, or you will see the registration, all that will get cancelled and you'll not have enough time to be able to fix it before day 4. Okay, so Cam, a question from you. Why we did last step, the email reconfirmation email step? What's the importance of that step? Very good. So Cam, it is Facebook has created that step very deliberately. They have designed application to work like that. Someone comes, enters email, someone comes, enters password, clicks on login, and if that is not confirmed, they want that box to come. They want that confirm your email. So it is a desired functionality that Facebook development team has put in there. If you are a test engineer, you will have to make sure that that desired functionality is working, yes or not. So that is the test case. That is the scenario that we're trying to test. To do that, we are writing this script now. Okay. Can you do if statement with message box instead of print statement? Absolutely. You can do anything in there. So that's a good question. This is how you guys have to think. Kurban, good question. See, now here I've got this. I can write also message box. Just another box for true, I'll say this is what it will come, and the same thing I'll copy and I'll put it out here. Let's say in between. This is for the false. Now, if I execute it, see what will happen. You can do anything in it. You can create variables, you can put objects, any statement. Okay, I'm just doing a regular run, not a debug run. So first, let's see what will come. It is, and now it is trying to execute line 11. Why is it not executing it? Why? What is stopping it from executing? Because this pop-up comes and you have to take an action to be able to click on OK. Message box, MSGBOX, is another feature through which you can start giving messages onto the screen of your system that will let you know what is happening with your test and where it is and so on. These are like alert pop-ups that keep coming up. Okay, now you have to click on OK, only then it will continue to go to the next. So it is printed, it is. The first one came from the previous run, and I say OK, message box has come, and then it is also printed another day. That's the execution, right? All right, let's see. Any other few quick questions that I can take? I missed out previous sessions, so how do I get all the sessions? Team, are those videos not on the website? Guys, I asked a question. Are the videos not on a website? I got two of you saying no. I don't know about others. It is, right? So I'm going to UFT live training here. It's there. One of three. Day one demo, day two demo. How can you miss it? Guys, please be very smart about these simple things. All right? You cannot just assume. Why do you expect to be spoon fed? Why can't you just go and explore? And I'm sorry guys, this is the way I talk because I'm trying to train you guys just not on the tool, but also how we got to perform ourselves in a corporate world. Your ability to think through, analyze as is what makes you an engineer. You cannot just assume or just give up like that. Okay, so it is there under events, under UFT live. Specifically I showed you also on that. That's where the videos are there, so please go and watch them. All right, both the day one and day two are there, team. Okay, let me see what else is the question. When will I test? When I will test, how would I know that the page is similar to FB? Let's say I just encountered a test, and how do I will realize that I got to perform the similar step as we did on Facebook? Because that is the expected functionality. You should know how your application is supposed to behave. Let us say that you want to test, for example, um, if your health is good or not. Will you go to anyone and do it, or will you go to an expert on that specific test to get the test done, right? Only if you know that the person who's testing knows what they're doing well, will you be able to say that, okay, I'll get it tested there. Same thing with you. You are supposed to know the functionality of the application. How? Through documentations, through discussions, through analyzation with the development team, business analyst, architect, everyone. You are creating that knowledge, and that is an asset, team. As a QA engineers, you all are building that asset of that functional knowledge, the domain knowledge, the application knowledge, and that makes you really uh, have a control on the job, have a differentiation for yourself. All right. I missed out. Okay, so do we use this if and else in VB scripting? Yes, we use if and else in VB scripting. Every programming language team will have an if statement. It's a comparison statement. Okay, you compare. It's a condition statement. You look for a condition to be true or false. Depending on that, you execute certain things. All right. So that answered. For setting password, should I use set method or set secure method? Good question, Suparna. So this one I'll answer tomorrow. Okay, just remind me 1 second. I'll answer it tomorrow because I just want to show it to you and then answer. The difference between set, secure, and set. How to print variables along with text? Yes, even that, Sharon, we'll be doing it tomorrow. Can you give suggestion what to practice as we attend the training, like we do have any assignment kind of a thing? Right now, team, I just want you to focus on what I'm teaching. See if you can get same chance to pick up once I finish the session. The video is up for you to go back, review, and then while you're watching the video again, try and practice. That is all I want you to do right now. Okay, don't do anything else. That is the best thing, and then just keep waiting for my instructions. I'll guide you what you should do at each point. How to give dynamic data as input, we will come to it. All of those things will be coming to them. Okay, I'm just trying to go take the baby steps one after the other for each of you, and once we get a good control on these basics, we'll be adding more. All right, everyone, thank you. Sorry I took 5 minutes extra today, but I hope you're all going in a smooth direction in terms of understanding, because this is laying the foundation, team, very critical stage. Once we're doing this, then it will become easy for us going forward. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. We'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same link. Everything will remain the same. So I'll see you back tomorrow then. Take care all. Bye then.